you care what people think anymore? Do you care? Do you wonder what I think about you when you encounter people?
I wonder if people would care about my experience beyond whether or not they think I'm guilty or innocent. I worry that when I meet people, they will have a great conversation with me face to face, and like I'll think that we had a human connection, and then they'll walk away and like go to their buddies and be like, yeah, I talked to the killer, Amanda Knox.
It's hard to trust.
It's hard to trust.
Amanda Knox, now 31, is trying to reclaim her story. In June, Knox returned to Italy for the first time since she was freed from prison in 2011, telling me she was afraid to go.
What were you fearful of?
The fact that I had been invited by the Italy Innocence Project was tremendously important to me, but that didn't change the fact that I still have people who send me messages describing how they're going to murder me.
Era una storia.
Knox, emotional at moments, spoke without incident.
I break my own heart every time I access what happened to me.
In 2015, Knox and her ex-boyfriend were exonerated by Italy's highest court, which cited a lack of evidence and investigators affected by media pressure. Since then, Knox has found her voice in an ironic place.
You're facing injustice. Do you notify the authorities or take the law into your own hands?
Producing a true crime podcast with her fiancé, Chris Robinson, bringing compassion to what she says the genre typically lacks.
I'm trying to think critically and compassionately. And a lot of people think that you can only do one or the other. You can either have compassion or you can be critical. And I don't think that that's the case at all. I think you can do both at the same time.
As she did in Italy, Knox often speaks on criminal justice reform, hoping to put her own story in a broader perspective.
A lot of people are confused about why I'm not just burying my head in the ground and disappearing and crying.
And what's the answer?
And the answer is I'm a real human being too, and I'm trying to do the best that I can with what life has given me. And this is my answer. And I don't think I'm the most resilient person in the world. I just know that I take it day by day, and some days are really hard, and some moments are really hard. I got super emotional with you in the interview. You talked to me about Italy, and it's like, I am not done processing Italy.
You needed the fresh air to continue this conversation.
I needed the fresh air. Looking at other stories of people who have been similarly flattened and dehumanized has given me perspective on my own experience and has allowed me to like share an openness with them that I don't think that they experienced in the greater world.